Hello, my students and everyone out there watching our session today. Thank you for joining us. I'm Ellie at English Fun Zone. Hello, my students and everyone out there watching. And uh, got it. Welcome. Welcome to our session. I'm Ellie at English Fun Zone, and joining with me today, as always, wonderful Brad. Hi, Brad.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great. Well, how's the weather
Hi.
there?
In Prague,
Yeah,
it's a bit warm. How about you? How about in unpronounceable Sweden town?
it's pretty nice here. It's been a nice couple of days, so I'm happy about that. Normally it's been raining and windy and cold, but past couple of days, very nice. Beach weather even.
Well,
Although this morning I found a dead rat. I'm talking, it was big rat. It was
you know, I'm
not
from
the
New York. That's every day.
well, I was out watering my plants and I thought, what's that smell? And there it was. It was right there. I couldn't believe it.
Hmm.
It was huge. Today we're going to be talking about hobbies. It's a great lesson. It will give you an opportunity to learn how to talk about a hobby, maybe ask about a hobby. The focus on the lesson is asking questions because I know a lot of you um, are often asked questions and you have to make sentences and you have to explain things and talk. Yes, but questions, I find that some of my students find it very difficult to make a question or how to ask questions. So today we're going to be focusing on questions in this lesson. All right, so we're going to see the screen in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And there it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's around here a bit. But yes, hobbies. Do you have any hobbies, Brad?
Sure, I have plenty of hobbies. I like to read. I like to write. I like to play video games. I like to do Lego. I like to cook. I have plenty of hobbies. What about you?
I enjoy crocheting.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy cooking as well. Um, I like reading. I don't read as much as I used to read, but I do enjoy reading and traveling. I love to travel. Unfortunately, I haven't traveled in a while,
Me neither.
um, but I
But next month.
enjoy. Yay! That's right, next month. And we'll be talking about that a little later. Let's look at some indoor hobbies. So here are some indoor hobbies. How about if I read one column and you read the other one? We have baking, gardening, photography, fishing, dance, golf, hiking, a musical instrument, painting, and reading.
Okay. You could also do writing, birding, blogging, bowling, camping, crocheting, drawing. Are you sure that's an indoor hobby? Kayaking?
Oh, kayaking. How did that get into our? I have no idea how kayaking got there.
Yeah,
That's an
pretty darn
outdoor
big
hobby.
building.
I got carried away there. Yeah,
Yeah,
kayaking is an outdoor hobby.
okay. Martial
I
arts?
paused there a moment too.
Yeah. Martial
Uh,
arts and sewing.
right. And you can do martial arts outdoors as well. Let's talk about birding. I think birding should be an outdoor sport. When I think of birding, I think of people who go around to different places and um, look for certain species and write them down. Like I
Mhm.
saw a cardinal in this spot or this area. There's actually dedicated websites where people log in and share pictures and talk about where they find these different birds. I'm going to put birding as an outdoor hobby, unless we're, and still it would be outdoors as well. Keeping pigeons, for example,
Mm,
like keeping pigeons, but you would still have to keep them outdoors. So yeah.
right.
Okay. let's talk about outdoor. Oh, let's talk about questions. Um, I started out with, do you have any hobbies? That's a common question.
Hmm.
Another question is, what are you into? Right? What are you into?
Hmm.
Meaning, what do you enjoy doing? And another question you could ask is, what sort of things do you do for fun? Now, that could be a hobby or that could just be something that you enjoy doing. Sleeping is not a hobby. I had one
Sure it
student
is.
say, well, I like to nap, and that's not a hobby.
Yes, it is. It brings you enrichment and excitement and joy. So, hobby.
Right. Drinking alcohol is not a hobby.
I mean, no, in all seriousness, if you are a connoisseur of it, like that you like to appreciate it as an art or as a, as a product, that could be a hobby. Yes. I mean, look at wine. That has the same attraction. You lived here in the Czech Republic. There are wine tours in Moravia. So I wouldn't dismiss drinking completely as a hobby.
Okay. You have a point. You have a point.
I try to make them.
Okay. Well, let's look at our next outdoor.
Mhm.
Our next slide is outdoor activities. And here's where you would add in birding,
And kayaking already there.
and kayaking is already here. Yeah. So I must have just not have taken it away. Okay. So we have breeding animals, which means that you raise a certain breed, like Yorkies or German Shepherds. We would call that breeding animals. Birding, cycling, hunting, jogging, kayaking, there it is, motorsports, mountain biking, parkour, photography, and rock climbing.
Hmm. And you could also do running, sailing, sandcastle building,
Sculling or
sculling or
rowing.
rowing, surfing, swimming, tai chi. You could say that one, Ellie, because you
Chuan,
spent
Tai
in
Chi
China.
Chuan.
Thank you. Vehicle restoration, water sports, or yoga.
Right. Now, we can ask, are you into sports? Photography, running, swimming. So if you were to answer this, you would say, I'm into running or I'm into swimming. You have to use the ing there for those because it's what are you into? And it's that action. What are you into? I'm into this action, running, swimming. So if someone asks you, are you into something? You can say, I'm into running. Now, photography, there's no ing, that's just photography. I'm into photography.
Mhm.
You can say, do you? Now, here we don't use the ing. Do you swim? Do you run? Do you cycle? So if you hear do you, don't use ing, right? Do you cycle? Do you swim? Do you surf? Do you
Mhm.
kayak? Do you do? Now, here, if you say do you do, do you do yoga? Do you do any water sports? Do you do tai chi?
Mhm.
Those are the things where you would add do you do. You wouldn't say do you any water sports. We wouldn't say that. You have to say do you do
Mhm.
any water sports? Do you do yoga? So those are some things there to remember. Do you do?
Mhm.
I
You do the
wouldn't.
do.
I wouldn't do mountain biking. I like to ride a bike, but I wouldn't do mountain biking. That seems a little scary to me. What about you? Is there anything here you wouldn't do?
That I wouldn't do. Well, probably parkour.
Yeah.
It'll be. I used to be a fan of the Assassin's Creed series, and that requires parkour. That's a key part of every game. But no, I would always be the one jumping and falling to his death. So no, I don't want to do that.
Can you watch those videos? Can you watch parkour?
Oh yeah, sure, no problem.
Yeah, I have a hard time watching some of those
No,
that
no,
are
I don't have a problem watching
doing
them. It's just me, like, I just am not going to climb up the Empire State Building by its window frames. No, thank you. I mean, I
well,
haven't seen anybody do that yet, but I'm sure someone will be crazy enough to someday.
yeah, when I watch those videos, I'm always going, oh, I just it's very difficult to watch.
I mean, there was a guy who climbed up the World Trade Center, the original one, with like suction cups that he made at home. So people just
Crazy,
do those things. Yeah, I think it was
crazy.
George Willing was his name. I think it was called the real Spider-Man or the
The real
human Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
the real Spider-Man. Oops, oops, oops. There we go.
Students, an excellent film is Man on Wire. It's about the real story of Philippe Petit, who put a rope between the two towers of the World Trade Center and then walked on it. It's all true. There are even pictures of him doing it in real life. That's a fantastic film, students. Do check it out.
Okay, we'll post that in the description box below.
Man on Wire, yeah.
Man on
I'm
fire.
sorry, no, The Walk. The Walk. The Man on Wire is the documentary, which is also good. The Walk is the movie.
Okay. Let's talk about reading. Now, these are
Mm-hmm.
some of the books I've read. You can ask someone, have you read any good books? Have you read, and then the title, have you read Letting Down People? Have you read Peppy and I? Um, Actually, this is Peppy and I. It was written by a friend of mine, and she lives in Prague, actually.
Okay.
So, yeah, and this one by Mary Kate Goodrich, her sister and I went to school together. So, yeah,
Small world.
I know. So, plug for those two ladies. We have genres. Now there are a lot of genres. I've focused a few here, fiction, nonfiction, sci-fi, romance, historical fiction, memoirs, mystery, and thriller or horror. And I know you're into historical books, but I don't know about historical fiction. Are you interested in historical fiction?
It depends on like how loose they are with the facts and how engaging the story is.
Mhm.
Um, like for example, although it's a movie, I'm upset mostly with Cameron's movie Titanic because the character assassinates a lot of historical figures, showing them as cowards or idiots. So if you're doing that in the novel, you're making someone a coward or an idiot that wasn't in real life. I'll have a problem with that. But no, at this point, I prefer actual history.
Mhm. I
I've,
like
I've
mem.
soured on fiction in general lately.
Mm. Yeah, I prefer memoirs. I like reading
Mm-hmm.
about a person's history. I read the Frederick Douglass book or memoir, and Frederick Douglass wrote about his life, and it was a good book. It was a little shocking, but what I didn't like about it was that he often said the horrors were too horrible to write about, or it was too horrible to mention.
Mm-hmm.
These things are too horrible to mention. And I thought, you're writing a memoir. You have to write the horrible things. We have to learn from these experiences. We have to, what was it? It's like a secret. Don't cover it. Say it. Of course, he's long gone, so you can't tell him to write about it. But it was frustrating because he would tell a little bit, he just kind of say some things, and they were horrible things, but uh, when an author writes too horrible to mention, well, that gets you thinking, well, what was it? Right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
telling someone, I have a secret. What's your secret?
I, I mean, yeah, I mean, especially like movie ads like J.J. Abrams, where it's like, "Ooh, what's happening? I don't know what. I'm not telling you." That really annoys me.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes it's good in fiction to not really show everything, especially like if it's violence. I have a friend who's very critical of a certain comic writer because they love to show all the violence, and he thinks it's much more tasteful but much more impactful if you just show the character reacting to something, because then your mind fills in the real horror, because imagination is always better than what someone else says. And I think there's some truth to that. And I think I need some light on my face. Hold on.
Well, I think that if it's a memoir and you're writing about your personal life, not something that's fictional, if you're going to write something, don't say, I can't write about this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then what's the point of writing a memoir if you can't say it? Don't say that, is what I'm
Well,
saying.
I mean, here's the thing, Ellie, as we're getting into ethics of writing. You have to remember that we are looking back 150 years after the event. So tastes have changed, norms have changed, what is acceptable has changed.
Right. I understand
And
that.
you have to remember that, I mean, that while the North won the war, the South kind of won the peace and narrated how we see the Civil War.
I know, but he was
So,
talking about himself. He
no,
was
I
talking about
agree.
his.
No, but here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm getting at. If he really went in depth, you have the risk of people going, "Oh, no, that can't be."
But that's the risk he has to take.
But look, nearly 100 years later, the world went. The Germans put the Jews in camps and gassed them. No, sometimes
Yeah. Well, so
people
damned if you
won't
do, damned
accept
if
the
you
truth.
don't, sort of thing.
Exactly.
Sort of thing. You
Exactly. So, I mean, I think that's probably what it was. He probably, and it could have been, he wanted to talk about it, but his publishers said, no, we gotta publish it.
I should have.
There
was one book that I read where the author said, I can't say what happened because I need to protect these people. That I understood.
Mm-hmm.
That was fine. That was understood. All right, let's get back to our PPT.
Mm.
Okay, so those are some questions that you can ask someone about if they're reading a book, or you want to ask or start a conversation. Have you read any good books? That's a good starter for a conversation. All right, writing. Now, as most of you know, I have written several books, and you can find them on Amazon.com or Amazon. Whatever country you're in. It's international. So yes, you can ask if you know of someone that has written a book. You could ask, what things have you written? Have you published any books? What things do you like to write about? Mm-hmm. So these are things that you could ask someone if you know that they've written a book, or if they mention that they've written a book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've also written some short books that you can find on Amazon Kindle if you put in my name.
There you go. And we'll put those links in the description box below. So you'll have those as well if you want to check out what we've written. I don't have a genre. I have a memoir. I have a cookbook. I have a fantasy. This is my first children's book. Well, actually, I have two children's books, but The Seeker of Things is an actual book. The Halloween Pumpkin was sort of like a practice book for basic students. This was a book that I wanted to, see how that would go. It was just more of a practice, and that's free, and you can find that at my website. I'll put the link in the description box below. Boy, do I have to keep saying that? It's just everything will be below.
It's fine.
I also wrote a book on teaching a language, and Brad, you're actually in that book.
I am. Yes, I was one of the people you interviewed / sounded out. And to refresh everyone's memory, Ellie was the one who gave me a lot of insight into going fully private almost a decade ago. So she knows what she's talking about.
And when I helped you do that, I actually took that experience and wrote the book. I feel that the book is sort of outdated now because some of those links have probably expired. And so the information is still good, but it's the risk you take when you write a book using links, because those links can quickly be removed or
die. I think
go out of commission. Right. So
time for a second edition.
Pardon?
Time for a second edition.
Right. I've been thinking about pulling it, updating the links, and I should do that. I should do that because I know there are some links in there that don't work. The information, as I said, is still good information. Yeah, so that's a bit about brag. I know that sounds like a brag. Oh, these are the books that I wrote. Ta-da! And we would say brag, but writing can be a hobby.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I enjoy it. And the same friend I mentioned about writing horror effectively, we like to co-write a lot of stuff, but it's called fan fiction. So it's just between the two of us. We both consider it a hobby.
Great. The next is drawing. What things do you like to draw? Who taught you how to draw? Have you ever drawn an animal, a bowl of fruit, something? If you have a question about a specific thing that they've drawn, how do you decide what to draw? What was the last thing you drew? And what are you drawing now? Here, I wanted to show you how to use draw, drew, and drawing. These are the questions that you can ask using draw, drew, and drawing. And these characters are from the book Seeker of Things.
Mm. Did you draw them or have a friend draw them?
No, I actually hired an artist, and I'll put her link in the description box below too. Yeah. Um, you can see her name here. She drew these characters. This is Squeakers and the gnome. Interesting fact, or fun fact, as they say, this book does not use any pronouns. There's no he, there's no she, there's no it. Uh, I wrote it that way because I wanted the reader to put in their own pronouns and for the reader to put in their own idea of what that character would be.
Mm-hmm.
Even the adventurer is called the adventurer. It's not a he or she because if it's a girl reading the book, I want the girl to feel like she's the adventurer. So I don't say, I'll say you, but I won't say he, she.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's a boy reading it, they can connect because again, it just says adventure. So it's designed that way so that the person reading it can interpret their own pronouns. And I did it that way so they could use their own imagination when reading the story. And it's an adventure book where you get to make choices. You know, do you go right? Do you go left? If you go right, go to page 32. If you go left, go to page 20. And the kids can use their phone to scan in the codes or find the information in the back of the book if they don't have a phone. It's a short story, but it's fun. Okay, let's talk
I
about
that's a New York Times book reviewer there. It's fun.
it's fun.
It's fun.
Baking and cooking. I don't know. It's on Kindle, but I still haven't found anyone to review it on Kindle to see if it works as a book on Kindle because you have to flip back and forth. And so the
Oh
page
yeah.
numbers are different. So the page numbers are different than in a regular book. It's on Kindle, but to this day, I don't know if it works as a Kindle book. I tried to get someone to tell me many, many times, but the people over at Amazon just couldn't give me an answer. So
You want me
it's
to do it?
it's there.
You want me to do it for you?
If you do you have Kindle? I don't have a
Yeah.
Kindle.
Yeah, I got it on my phone, my tablet, my laptop. I mean, got a couple of ways of doing it.
Okay. Well, I'll put it on discount so that I'll put all my books on discount. So if you buy them, you'll have a discount. Okay, so let's talk about baking and cooking. Here are some questions you could ask. Could you give me the recipe for this? If you
Mm.
try somebody's food and you really like it, you could say,
Yum,
could you
yum.
give me the recipe for this? But, secret. Maybe you didn't like the food, but it's a great compliment to the cook to say, could you give me the recipe for this? Right? even if you don't like the food, you could you could ask for it for the recipe. It's a
Hmm.
compliment in a way. Do you have a recipe for, and then whatever? Do you have a recipe for chicken? Do you have a recipe for chocolate chip cookies? Do you have a recipe for blueberry muffins? So
Hmm.
you can put anything after the four there. What's your favorite thing to make, and what did you make for dinner?
Mm.
Right.
I'll
What
be
did you
making
make for
tonight.
what did you make for dinner last night, Brad?
Nothing. I had KFC, but tonight I'm going to have chicken with couscous in a park
Oh,
sauce. Yeah, I like doing it.
nice, nice. I have
It's
no
no,
idea
it's
what
nice. And I just take out my little hot plate and I put something on YouTube in the background and I just start, doing the thing. And as I mentioned in our interview, I usually do a bad Gordon Ramsay impression while doing it. You know, Parsley,
mine's Julia Childs. I
couscous,
love doing
boom,
it.
beautiful.
Today we're going
Yeah,
to make.
I haven't done that one yet. I just like to do like couscous. Sorry,
Oh,
Gordon Ramsay is reaching out to stop me with his rage. To go couscous and chicken, a great British classic in beautiful. I don't know why. I just do that. Mostly because I like him when he's actually calm and not like destroying a kitchen in anger.
yeah.
So that stuff's funny.
I grew up on Julia Childs, so when I
Yeah.
was a kid, I always loved it. Today we're going to be cooking French toast.
Have you seen the? I think it's called Julia and Julia or Julia and
Yes,
something. It's
twice.
like it's like a
I've seen it
woman
twice.
dealing with 9/11 and she deals with it through Julia Child's cookery. Is
Yes.
that
Yeah.
any good?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
I just know it exists. So
Yeah. Oh, and these pictures are all mine. These are things that I've made. So um, I've had people over for dinner, and these are things that I've made.
so we
We're
can call
primarily
Ellie.
vegetarian, so you can see that there's a turkey here. That was for Thanksgiving, and so for those guests that would eat meat, got turkey. And for those that were vegetarian, got pasta.
Well, I mean, I thought you made a very convincing veggie turkey. I was gonna be.
Yeah,
I
no,
was.
I tried making one of those, but it turned out dry. It wasn't all
Okay.
that great. I didn't care for it. It was
So
okay. It didn't taste bad. It just
we can call Ellie a Renaissance woman because all of this is her. All this cooking, all this writing.
okay.
Why not?
Why not? Sure. Um, if you want, if you saw something like this, you might say, what's that?" Or "What are these?" If you were holding it in your hand, "What is this?" Right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are carrot cake muffins
Mm.
with cream cheese frosting,
Oh, that does sound good.
and these are cinnamon rolls.
Oh yes. One
Uh,
thing I miss from the U.S. is a good bagel.
everybody says that here
Especially
too.
being from New York, spec. Bacon, egg, cheese, salt, pepper, ketchup. I had that
Well,
all the time going to the Intrepid, so for work.
if you ever come here, I'll make you some bagels.
All right, fair enough. Better be New York style though.
Okay, yes, sir.
All right. I
Photography.
did these. These are me. Yeah.
This is all Brad. Okay, so
Yeah.
you read the questions, Brad.
All right.
This is your
So,
slide.
so, what got you interested in photography? Nothing. I just thought it looked cool. Where, when did you take this? Recently? Who taught you how to use that camera? Myself. I just point the phone and click. Uh, and could you show me how to take a picture like that? Yes. Just stand here, aim, click. There you go. No, I mean, in all seriousness, yes, all three of these photos were taken with my iPhone SE. I mean, I think it shows that you can get a real quality photo from a smartphone these days. And why I take them in? It's the mood. Sometimes it's the lighting. Sometimes it's what I'm looking at. I mean, I think the Prague waterfront is quite amazing. I like showing people when they come visit. So that's why I took these photos.
Mhm. Sewing.
Mm-hmm.
You can ask, did you make that? Who taught you how to sew? Notice how we say sew and it looks like Sue. Doesn't it look like Sue? Like if we add AGE, we'd say sewage, right? SEWAGE, sewage. But this is pronounced sew. Who taught you how to sew? This is sewing.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever made, and then fill in the blank, have you ever made a dress? Have you ever made a shirt? Have you ever made baby clothes?
Mm-hmm.
And can you teach me how to make that? I made this curtain.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I like to sew. I don't have a sewing machine. I actually borrowed my friend's sewing machine to make this. I went to her house and said, I need to make a curtain.
Mm-hmm.
When I was younger, I had a sewing class and I made a skirt and I made a toy. It was one of those little stuffed toys. And I put in a hem on a tablecloth.
Mm-hmm.
The teacher was giving me extra things to do because I kept saying, done, here, next.
You were a master at home ec.
Oh, I just loved home. I was, yeah, I enjoyed the sewing part
You,
especially, and the
you
well,
know,
the
looking
cooking.
back, it's like that's the kind of stuff that I wish we kind of learned in school, like how to cook and how to cook in a healthy way.
Mhm.
I just vaguely remember something about omelets. That's all about it. That's about it. Sorry.
Well, the kids here, they learn how to cook in school. They learn how to cook.
Mm,
When I was in college, they called me the den mother because I was about year to a year or two older than everybody in the dorms, and
hmm.
I knew how to do these things. So they say,
Ellie the
can
Den Mother.
yeah, I know. I hated that. I hated that. So I'm like, I'm not that much older than you.
I mean that like if you do like tabletop games or RPG, that's a character. You must contact Ellie the Den Mother. She will tell you what to do, says the beggar.
Yeah. Yeah, they would come to me with all sorts of things like ironing and sewing and how do I do this? Ask the den mother. I hated that term. I was in an all girls dorm too, so
Mm-hmm.
it's funny. I was teaching them some skills.
Mm-hmm.
Crocheting. My grandmother taught me how to crochet,
Okay.
the basic stuff, and then I went to YouTube and I learned the fancy stuff. You could ask, who taught you how to crochet? Is it difficult to learn how to crochet? How long have you been crocheting? What is your
Mm-hmm.
favorite thing to crochet? And could you make me a blanket? A lot of people ask, can you make me this or that?
Mm-hmm.
Not me specifically, but I've heard other people that crochet get asked that quite often.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so I make things for people. Like my dad bought a boat, so I made this for him for his boat. My friend had a baby, so I made her this blanket.
Picturing
Can
your dad be like, make me something for my boat. And you're like, okay, dad.
well, I actually made it for his wife because she had this table and it needed something, some sort
Mm.
of tablecloth. So that's what I came up with.
So you can crochet like the White Star Line flag for me, right? For a throw.
Uh, that would take forever. This took a
Just
long
red with
time to
white,
make.
just red with a white star.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but stars are hard.
Yeah, I guess they
Uh,
are. Yeah.
yeah. This one has elephants. I don't know if you can see that, but these are actual
Oh, is that what they
elephants.
are? I thought they were
Yeah, they're
like
supposed to be elephants.
castles.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
And this is the fox blanket. What does the fox say? Do 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 do. Okay, never mind.
Hmm.
Okay.
Con-
So yeah,
contain
so
your contain yourself, den mother.
how could we I'm going to regret telling you that story.
Oh no.
So
I'll probably forget it by next week.
we have jogging and running. You could ask, do you want to go jogging with me? Do you jog? How long have you been running? Have you ever ran in a marathon? No,
Mm-hmm.
no, and no. I don't jog. I'll go for a walk. I take my dog for walks all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And my friends will say, do you want to take the dogs for a walk? Yeah, let's go. But this, no, not my thing.
I've started doing 10,000 steps a day. So yeah, I'm much more of a walker than a jogger. In fact, all those photos from earlier, they were taken during my walks.
Mhm. I prefer walking than
Yeah,
running.
yeah, I prefer walking too.
It's always been that way. Even when I was younger, I wasn't much of a runner. I enjoyed walking.
Hmm.
I actually dreaded running in like PE, like when you were in
Hmm.
school. They'd say, "Okay, you're gonna run so many laps." Oh, no, don't make me do that. Hated that. I don't know why. I just 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 I also walk slow apparently. Here they walk really fast. And I call it the Swedish walk because they walk really fast. And I like to, stroll, walk really slow. I stroll. Yeah.
Well, yeah, being from New York, obviously you need to know how to walk fast. And I've taken part of that with me that I get annoyed when I'm behind someone moving very slowly.
Yeah. Have you seen a marathon? Have you?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, some of the I think the marathon was routed past the Intrepid once, so I was just standing
Mhm,
there watching people run. And here in Prague, they go under Nusla Bridge, so I can look down and see them running.
mhm, mhm.
I've done that a couple of times.
I've seen several bike. It's not a marathon. It's
Bike tour.
a bike tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, where they have competitive racing with bikes. I've
Yeah.
seen
Well,
that.
no, I'm just kind of amused by the route for New York, where it's like it's called the Five Borough Bike Tour, and I think for the Bronx, it's like they just kind of go 5 blocks into the Bronx and then back into Manhattan. It's like, see it counts. Okay.
See ya. Okay, the next one is swimming.
Yes.
Where do you swim? Do you want to go swimming? I like
Sure.
swimming. I enjoy swimming,
You
but
too.
not competitively. Not
Mm-mm.
competitively.
I am not Michael Phelps. No.
Do you want? No, when I was in high school, I was a swim manager. I helped with uh, timing laps and things like that. And I enjoyed that, but I didn't want to race. I didn't feel like I could swim fast. I could swim, but I didn't feel like I could race. That's the
Mm.
closest thing I came to participating in a sport, I guess.
No, I'm just not interested in competitive stuff.
Well, I liked it because I was on the boys swim team. Do I need to explain further?
Maybe in certain elements of today's society, yes, but no, I don't care really. Yeah, see,
Parkour.
this is what I'm talking about. I'm going to be the one who jumps and then falls 7 stories to his death. No, thank you.
Right. Yeah, this always makes me a little, squeamish. Like, ooh. Have you ever seen anyone do parkour? Do you know anyone that does parkour? And would you ever try to learn parkour?
I
Yeah,
think if I
no, no, no.
Yeah, I think if I tried parkour, it'd be like that opening to the one episode of The Office where they're just yelling parkour and just like awkwardly crawling over things and standing on things. And I think one of them does fall off a building at one point.
I think how many times did this person have to do that to be successful? How many
Mm.
accidents did like Jackie Chan says that he has broken every bone in his body and some bones twice. So
I believe
I
it.
would imagine that these kids that do parkour have broken bones.
Jackie Chan was awesome.
Yeah. Who doesn't like Jackie Chan? Let me know in the chat box.
So we can ban you.
Yeah. Okay, so here we have breeding animals. No, there's my Oso, my
Mm,
dog. He wasn't bred, he was a street dog. How long have you been breeding animals? What breeds do you work with? What do you breed? And did you get your dog from a breeder?
mm-hmm,
And Oso's a chow chow mix, a chow
mm-hmm.
mix, and I did not get him from a breeder. I got him from the streets of Costa Rica.
My mom and my sister, all of their dogs are rescue dogs, and they have 5 dogs between them.
Yeah. Wow,
My
that's a
mother
lot.
has 2, and my sister has 3. And I'm pretty sure my sister loves dogs more than she loves people.
I I got a dog from a breeder once, and it was my very first dog, and it was a wonderful little dog. It was a Yorkie, and just loved that dog. But then I went to a shelter and I cried. I couldn't stop crying. I kept thinking those poor dogs.
So I think one of my father's favorite stories about me was when we wanted to get a new dog
Mhm.
because like I was in the car and I was reading, so I'm happy, but I also had ice cream. So obviously I couldn't go in the store, right?
Right,
And
right.
he goes, "Brad, what? You want to come see the dog?" I'm like, "Do I have to?" And, I always point out, you're asking me when I've got an ice cream cone, do you want to come in the store that would never let me in with an ice cream cone? And it never really sank in with him. It's just like, ah, Brad. But he loved that story.
Too funny.
I think he
Oh,
what liked most about me was like I just was very intolerant to things that I thought were dumb, and I have a liberal definition of dumb. So,
my dogs are all of my dogs are very smart. I don't have I
oh
haven't
no,
had a
Merv
dumb
Merv was
dog.
smart. Merv was very smart, and the family loved
Merv.
him. That was his name, and Amy gave him a middle name, Theodis. So she said, I love my Merv and Theo. She
Oh,
really liked Merv, and now she has 3 dogs, Winnie, Indy, and Hank. And Hank is the largest, and he flipped me over a couch once.
kind of dog is that?
I don't know, but I always think of Godzilla or the Cloverfield monster with him. He's just taking out everything as he goes. So
That's another question you could ask is what kind of dog? What kind of dog is that?
very big. And in the fairness, my mom has 2 dogs, and she calls them Noli and Feeny, and she loves them very much. Noli very much loves my mother because, like, every time I call her, I just see dog parts because she's very jealous. So I'll just be like, you know, calling, and then all of a sudden I just see like dog.
Well, I ran a kennel. Well, owned a kennel. I built one when I graduated from college. I was doing an in-home pet sitting service called Happy at Home Pet Care. And the 5-year plan was to build a kennel.
Mm-hmm.
And I did. It was a pet hotel. And so I had that up and running. It was Happy at Home Pet Care and Kennel Inc. And I was very proud of it because it was like a hotel. It was very fancy. It had a cat wing, it had a dog wing, it had an indoor play arena, had an outdoor play area. It was fairly big. The building is still there today, and unfortunately, it's over the years it's kind of falling apart a little bit. And they the catering equipment business. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're catering a party, you can buy these big tubs and things. And so it's weird that it went from a pet hotel to a catering equipment business.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is now, but the last time I was there, which was about 6 years ago, that's what it was. I'm going to Michigan next month, so I'll probably swing by to see what it is now.
Mm.
But yeah, that I enjoyed doing that, but I didn't do any breeding. It was just taking in people's pets while they were on vacation.
Yeah, as far as I know, my mother and sister have done no breeding. They just do rescue dogs.
All right, let's look at the next slide. Now, I have to warn you. Oh, this is the no, we're not yet. No warnings yet. This is the vehicle restoration. Uh, did you restore it? How long did it take to restore? How much did it cost to restore? Um, I enjoy going to antique cars. I actually saw an antique show last year. They had one here with a bunch of antique cars. And I also went, they have a museum here.
Mhm.
And I try to imagine who owned the car, what families sat in the car. Just we do so much in our vehicles, but back then, they didn't have drive-throughs. So were they eating in the cars? I'm assuming they had picnics. But yeah, so all these things go in my mind when I'm looking at these old cars.
They probably they probably were doing picnics, so I don't know if they ate in the car, but they probably carried food.
Mhm. My grandmother said that they would take hot water bottles and put them in the car with them and under a blanket to keep them warm
Hmm.
because they didn't have any heat. And it was very, very cold in Michigan. And so they would have these hot water bottles and they would take really warm blankets and put that on top of them as well to keep them warm.
Hmm.
They also had these things, a little bit dangerous, I guess, that were metal charcoal heaters, and they would put warm charcoal or warm briquettes in the this box, and that would keep their feet warm.
Hmm.
Sometimes it was like somehow carpeted, and the it was sitting on top of this. I don't know if it's wood, but it kept their feet warm. So yeah, fun fact. I'm hearing that a lot these days. Fun fact. Okay, now the next slide comes with a warning. If you don't like hunting, or you don't
Oh
want to
yeah,
see, if you don't want to see a dead animal, you might want to look
minimize this.
away and go la 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 la, because the next hobby is hunting,
Hmm.
and I wanted to talk a little bit about hunting. My dad is really into hunting. It's a family thing. I don't hunt. And before I show this slide, I wanted to give you a warning that it is coming up next, and you will see it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So this is not my dad. This is my dad's brother or my uncle. Um, I chose this photo instead of one with my dad because of the rifle and the cleaning of the deer. So I joked with my dad. I said, "So you didn't want to show people how you clean a deer?" He's like, "No, he lets his brother do all the dirty work." It's like, okay,
Hmm.
let him clean the deer. So yeah, so a lot of questions come up with, you know, guns and cleaning the deer. Where do you go hunting? What do you hunt with? Meaning, what kind of rifle do you use? Or what type of rifle do you have? Did you get a deer this year? That's a common question in our families. Did you get a deer this year? Now, uh, my family has some strict rules, or my dad especially has some strict rules when it comes to hunting. It has to be a clean shot. There's no wounded shots. If you don't have the shot 100%, you don't take it. The whole deer is used, so nothing goes to waste. There is a large population in Michigan, and to keep it under control, they do allow hunting. Um, I hit a deer, and my dad has hit a deer, my dad's wife has hit a deer. We've all hit deers on the road. When you're going down the highway and you hit a deer, it becomes very, very dangerous. So, this is one way to keep the population to manageable, so fewer accidents on the highways.
I'm not
And
smiling at the dead deer. I'm smiling about in Australia. There's a frog that is like where they're like just kill the things, and there's one guy like with a huge smile on his face filming himself running them over. So so population control is done differently in different parts of the world as students.
mhm, right. And I almost used my uncle as the thumbnail, but I thought, no, better not. Because I know there are some people that uh, don't agree with hunting. I get that. I don't hunt. I could never hunt. I have a hard time looking at an animal and knowing that I'm going to kill it. I couldn't do
Mm.
that. But if
I was in tears when I had to put a worm on a hook for fishing, and Dad never took me
oh,
fishing again after that. Um,
oh, poor
as for
thing.
my thing with hunting, I have zero interest in it. Um, I mean, uh, I guess you do you, but you know, I have issues with it more about the guns and their availability in the U.S., and we don't need to get into that, than
Right,
you know the actual hunting.
right.
But I will say, um, my father went hunting with I think one of his uncles, and the uncle used a rifle he captured from the Germans in World War II. And
Wow.
Dad said he remembered the uncle would show him the swastika and the Reichsalder, the eagle that symbolized Germany at the time. And that was the only time I would ever become interested in hunting, is because it's a historic gun. So I wouldn't care about the hunting. I just care, oh, historic gun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not much for hunting.
Yeah.
Same with you. It's just killing things is makes me feel very bad. I still feel very
Yeah.
bad. I killed a mouse in New York that was getting into my stuff. So I
Oh.
yes. So yeah, bigger things, no.
I rescued a mouse once. My landlord, I lived in Costa Rica and our kitchen was actually outside. It was in
Mhm.
a, it had a roof, but it wasn't something that was like a room. You could walk into the kitchen. There weren't any doors, and it was just a covered roof, and you could come and go freely. So could the animals. So we
Mhm.
always had to keep that kitchen clean because we had ants and we had mice and we had
Mhm.
all kinds of things. But we were having problems with mice, and my landlord bought this really sticky, I'll call it
Yep.
paper that you
Yeah,
put
mouse
down,
trap
and
programs.
the mouse would go across and stick. Now don't laugh, but it was a tiny, tiny little mouse crying, crying, wee,
Mhm.
wee, wee, crying, and I started crying.
Mhm.
And so I took the tweezers and I gently removed this little tiny mouse from its sticky paper
Mhm.
from its trap, and I pulled the thing apart, and I was crying and the mouse was crying. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. They put the mouse in a jar and I took it out to the woods far from where I lived and released it.
Mhm.
And it was a sweet little thing. There was just a tiny little baby. Well, then the brother came along and got stuck. A little bigger mouse got stuck. And again, I didn't cry as much because this thing was wild and tried to bite me all the time. But I also took it apart, took it off the sticky tape and
Mhm.
released it. So yeah, I can't do any hunting.
Yeah, well, like in my case, like it was getting into things it shouldn't, and it was like
Yeah. So are
damaging
these mice
things.
were
So
doing the same thing. They were
I just
in.
didn't have a choice, but I felt really bad about it.
Yeah, yeah, you do, especially if you love animals.
I don't love animals. I just don't like hurting things.
Wow, wow. Okay. Okay, let's how are we doing on time? Let's do
About
climbing.
6 minutes.
Let's do climbing. A happier slide. Okay, it's okay to look now. Everything's gone. Rock climbing. Have you ever gone rock climbing? Well, sort of. Do you know anyone that rock climbs, and when did you go rock climbing? So I sort of went rock climbing, went to an indoor climbing park. I don't even
Mm-hmm.
know what to call it. Oh, indoor climbing park, right?
Well, I mean, I hear rock climbing wall, but
Yeah, it's a rock climbing wall, but it was a building and it had all these different walls. So they had the kiddie wall, which is the wall that I went on because I had never done it before. So here's me on the kiddie wall, and there's my friend. She's up there climbing this wall, and it's just unbelievable because it's so high up, and
Hmm.
she's blind. She's blind, and she can
Okay.
just climb this like a spider. She's just up and down. I couldn't climb this because I was too scared. I'm a little bit afraid of heights. I have a
Hmm.
slight fear. I have a slight fear. And she was, how there's one person that anchors, right? She was holding the anchor for me as I'm up here. And she's holding the anchor for me. And it crossed my mind, she's not going to see me fall.
Hmm.
So I'm climbing, I'm halfway up this kiddie wall, and I look down and I'm thinking, she can't see me fall. So I got really scared, but we did fine. We managed. I didn't get hurt, and she
Hmm.
was great. So we had fun. I did do a little climbing in China. This is me and Dalian. I wouldn't, it's rocks. I am sort of climbing it, but it's not a wall or anything. So yeah, I can't say that I have really done any rock climbing, but I've done a little bit, sort of.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know if this counts. And the last one is, we are content creators. How long have you been creating content, or how long have you been a content creator? And what sort of videos do you make? Yeah.
Hmm.
So these are good questions if you meet someone that's doing YouTube or TikTok or what are the other ones? Instagram,
Yeah, Twitter to a certain extent,
Twitter. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Tumblr.
I've been doing it for quite some time, about 11 years, I think. It's going on 11, I think.
Very good.
And you're just starting out,
Yeah, maybe we'll see. Like I am going back and forth on it now
right?
because well, it basically you need to put a lot of work into it before people even start seeing it, thanks to the algorithm gods.
Mhm.
And there is a whole community on YouTube that just loves drama and like harassing and attacking people, and I really don't want to attract their attention. So we'll see.
Now, if you want this PPT, you can download it at englishfunzone.com. However, I want to let you know that um, most of the photos will be deleted. The questions will be there. A basic photo will be there, but all of our photos will be deleted from these slides because they're our personal photos. And you'll want to put in your own photos.
Pictures of Prague, you don't have to delete those.
Okay, can leave those then. But things like of my uncle and things like that,
Yeah, probably that
we're
would.
gonna delete those things. So if
You could put a full.
you want the PPT with the questions, you can use them in your class, or you can use them to practice with. You can practice answering those questions as well. So it's a good lesson to have, uh, help you with making questions. Announcement time. Brad, you're going away on vacation.
Yeah, on the week of August 12th, I will be meeting one of our viewers actually, because he's
Yay.
also a very good friend of mine. So at least one of the viewers will see me that week.
That's
But
fantastic.
yeah, no, I'm quite eager for it, and so is he. But because of that, we had to make some adjustments to the schedule. So Ellie, why don't you go ahead and tell them?
Sure. So we're doing a live stream on the 5th, August 5th and August 19th. We're changing it up a little bit. So it'll be August 5th and August 19th.
Mhm.
We're going to start at 12:30. So you want to make sure you mark your calendar. You can also go to English Fun Zone, check out the live events, go to the calendar there, and it'll list all of the events and when we're doing them. So mark your calendar August 5th and 19th at 12:30 instead of 11:30, 12:30. And then in September, we'll go back to our regular schedule. And don't worry, I'll remind you. Also, if you're a member of English Fun Zone, August 4th at 12 o'clock,
Hmm.
where I'll be doing a live stream and I'm going to be talking about writing specifically for the PET exam. But even if you're not taking the PET exam, it's still a good live stream because you'll learn things about how to write. So you'll want to participate in that. So become a member
Hmm.
and learn how to write. And those are the announcements. Next live stream we're going to be talking about traveling. So you're not going to want to miss our next live stream. That'll be again August 5th at 12:30. And we'll be talking about traveling. I'm excited about that one. Brad, thank you so much for being with us today.
Of course. Thank you for having me as always.
I enjoyed talking with you as always.
Oh,
Thanks
thank you. I do
for
too.
and thank you.
Let's do this every week.
Well, that would be the goal. That if we got more people watching this live stream, I could see us doing this once a week. And so
Okay.
tell your friends, share the love,
Like, share,
like,
comment, and subscribe.
and all of that other fun stuff, right?
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Ellie at English Fun Zone. Until next time, my students, please keep practicing.